Hello, hello, hello. Welcome in, everyone, right here. Fantasy Life on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio, breaking down everything that we saw from week 3. Oh, Adam, we've got a lot of injuries that we're going to be talking about today and tomorrow, ones that I know are going to impact a ton of fantasy teams. We had some highs, we had some lows, breaking down everything. How you doing? How's it going? You okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. It
All
was
right.
a wild weekend. There were some ugly performances, obviously some exciting finishes, and that's how it is in the NFL every single week. Your highs, your lows, and it was another one of those weeks where we saw some weird things.
It just felt, it started off weird, didn't it? It just didn't feel it didn't feel real. I don't know what to say. It just the whole morning slate was a little bit odd. Don't you think? It just felt disjointed, I think is the best way to describe it. Or you were just sitting back saying, "Oh, okay, this feels a little ugly." But teams got the wins like you said. It just didn't feel right.
Yeah, especially the first half of the
Yeah.
1 p.m. games. I mean, there was like no scoring. Some teams didn't even score a touchdown. So yeah, there were some ugly games, and then to cap it off on Sunday night, that was a pretty disgusting game to watch as well between the Chiefs and Giants.
Didn't you like watching Cam Skattebo though? Come on. He
Yeah,
was
of
he was
course.
the offense for the Giants. It
Yeah, I
was
liked
bad.
watching him, especially after you bailed on him, talked him up and then
Stop, get
just
out
didn't
of
take
here.
him in
I looked. I
drafts.
have him on a good amount of teams.
Oh,
I'm very
now all of
I'm
a
very
sudden you do.
happy.
It's funny
I'm
how that
very
ownership
happy.
changes,
It
huh?
might have been earlier in the season when I drafted him, but that's fine. I still
Okay.
take it as a win. I still take it as a win. Yeah, this weekend we're gonna have a lot to go through. And again, we've got a ton of injuries. I've already seen people, sending messages about waiver wire guys to pick up, and we are definitely gonna start going through that. I think, Adam, it's just one of those weeks where you look down and you say, "Oh, that's where did all my fantasy points go?" You had an injury to CeeDee Lamb, you had an injury to Mike Evans, Terry McLaurin, Najeee Harris, Tyrone Tracy, James Conner, and I think the two ones that we know it looks like for sure already. Najee Harris is going to be out for the remainder of the season, and James Conner is also going to be out for the remainder of the season. And that is just two big blows on the same weekend. It's just absolutely awful to see it. You kind of knew right away when you were watching Najee Harris what that probably was going to be. But yeah, the indications are that he tore his Achilles, and that's just horrible news. And then same for James Conner, someone that we've always talked about. Adam, you and I said in the offseason, hey, he just feels undervalued. Just make sure to handcuff him just in case. And that injury was pretty awful as well. And so they wouldn't show it on the replay, but you kind of knew right when everyone was coming out to see him when he was getting carted off that it was going to probably be the worst case scenario. And it does look like he is going to be out for the remainder of the year with his injury as well. So those two, especially, I mean, losing both of those running backs anytime is just awful. But having them, same weekend and losing them for the season is just horrible.
Yeah, with Harris too, especially since he had never missed a game in his NFL
No.
career. And you knew right away just seeing it was non-contact, and he went down after a play action attempt. So you knew right away that it was pretty bad, and it's just unfortunate for him, especially since he made his way back pretty quickly from the eye injury that he had on July 4th. So that just opens up a massive opportunity for Omarion Hampton right now. And then with James Conner, another guy that has been productive the last couple years. In the past, you always had to worry about injuries with him. And he did have that injury late last year. I think it was in week 17.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, look, I didn't draft him anywhere. Like, I think he was
Connor?
fine. What?
Connor?
Yeah, I didn't draft him
Oh, okay.
anywhere. I mean, I was
I got him a
fine
couple of
with
places.
his price, but he didn't land on my rosters. And then Trey Benson got in a couple leagues. And you could already see, though, through the first 2 weeks that they were really starting to use Benson more, and it
Mhm.
was becoming more because the one appeal about Connor was the workload, right? He
Yeah.
was getting most of the work in that backfield, and that was starting to shift. So I think you were a little worried already if you had James Conner, obviously. Now it's just time to move on, and hopefully you did, get Trey Benson. But yeah, Connor is just unfortunate. He's had a good career, and you just hate to see it, go down like this in week 3.
Yeah, the vibes are off, Adam. I don't know what we need to do, but the vibes are not good. And hopefully, this is it. But we know that injuries are just always a part of the fantasy season. And so I've got my waiver wire article actually live right now at fantasylife.com. Had it done yesterday afternoon just because of how many injuries we had yesterday. I don't know what we need to do, but it's not good. So if you want to go over there now, we'll be breaking that whole article down tomorrow. But there are some guys that you can pick up. I still think too, if you want early ones that we can just mention as well, Amari DiMercato, if you're looking at the Cardinals, I know we say Trey Benson, he's probably rostered everywhere. So I didn't do a huge write-up on him, but I think DiMercato, you saw him get a little bit of work yesterday. I think he's going to be one as well. When we're talking about the James Conner injury, him being done for the season, yes, Trey Benson is going to get his, but we saw Amari DiMercato last season as well when James Conner did miss that one game that he came in and did have an impact. And I think since it's so early in the season that he will also have an impact going forward as well.
Yeah, this offense I just don't like. It's the same as last year.
Bad.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh, it's bad.
I am just glad that, well, so far, I mean, again, it's so early and things can change, but I always had hesitation clicking that button on Marvin Harrison Jr., and it looks like it's the same, and he had 2 really bad drops yesterday.
Horrible. He just doesn't look like himself. I don't know.
This whole
it's
offense,
just odd.
it's the same. It's the same as last year, and it's inconsistent, and it's tough to watch.
It's really bad. I've got Kyler Murray one place, but you know what? I'm feeling it every single week. I'm like, which team is this? Why am I down? And I look and I'm like, oh, it's because I have Kyler Murray in that spot. It's just, yeah, that team is bad. It's just awful.
No, it is. It's not fun to watch right now.
No, it's just not good. I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr. after that game, I believe he said, "I'm not doing my job at a high enough level," and I was like, yes, yeah, correct.
Yeah, we're watching, Marvin. We're watching. We see it too.
But the thing is, like, it always just baffles me sometimes when we talk about talent and a guy that was considered just this overall, and he is talented. That's the thing. I mean, he's got, you know, his dad who was in the league, and you've got everything else behind him. He was highly sought after when we were talking about the NFL draft. I mean, he went through Dwayne's rookie supermodel, and he was phenomenal there. And so to see it not just come together in a year where I thought, okay, maybe they just need to gel a little bit more and get a little bit more chemistry. It just doesn't even feel like the chemistry is going to come together this year. Like you said, we've got a few more weeks. We've got a long time. We've only done this for a few weeks, but still, it's just really disappointing to watch over the first 3.
Yeah, and you could see he took accountability, and you know, he was saying that he's not doing his job, and you know, he knows he's capable of doing more out there, and he's just not playing to the best of his abilities, and it's frustrating. So he knows, and you hope that it changes if you have Harrison on your fantasy team, because we've seen 2 out of 3 games be bad once again, and it's just reminiscent of what we saw last year with this entire offense, basically.
Yeah. It's the small doses thing. You get good outings in small doses, and it never feels like it comes together one week after another. It's never consecutive. So yeah, with Marvin Harrison Jr., you're disappointed. I mean, last week, he had 2 catches for 27 yards. And then Sunday, when they lost that game, 3 for 44. And like you said, the drops were obviously the one that we're highlighting there. So hopefully things can get better again. My waiver wire article is live at fantasylife.com. If you guys want to go and check that out early, we'll be breaking that down here. But we're watching for news on CeeDee Lamb, Mike Evans, Terry McLaurin, Tyrone, Tracy. Am I missing anyone? James Conner, we know, is out for the season. Najeee Harris, we know, is out for the season. It's just, I feel like that's enough, Adam. We're fine there. That's a lot of players that we're watching for.
Yeah, CeeDee Lamb is saying he can play next week, but I don't know.
It didn't look. He tried to go back out there, and it didn't work out.
Yeah, he came back for one play and could not, and just basically signaled to the sideline like, yeah, this is not happening. So they're saying it's a high ankle sprain, but
did they say mild?
Mild, yeah.
Oh,
so,
come on.
I mean,
we know what that means.
My guess is he's going to miss at least a week or 2 at this point. And remember, they play Sunday night. Get a very happy Packers team coming off a loss in the Micah Parsons ball. So that's going to be fun. Cannot wait for that game on Sunday night. I was hoping that they could flex games out this early in the year, but apparently they can't, because I don't want to watch that on Sunday night.
You've called Roger. You said, hey,
I said, please. Can we change this?
I can't do this.
Yeah,
real. That's going to...
That's it. Yeah, we know what the storyline is going to be, and we know how ugly it's going to be. And then Mike Evans is going to miss time. I mean, I'm convinced. He threw his helmet. He knows. He's had a history of hamstring injuries, and that was the one concern that you had about Mike Evans this year, right? I mean, it all was shaping up for him to get off to a great start because Chris Godwin was out, Jalen McMillan was out. You figured, okay, he's going to get a huge target share early on. But the one concern was this guy's 32 years old. And even last year, he had a hamstring issue. So that was my concern for
Yeah.
Evans. I mean, he moved up the rankings with everything that happened before the season, but I think you had to be worried long term about these injuries. And my guess is he's going to miss at least a couple of weeks, if not more. Now, the good news is Chris Godwin could make his debut next week. Even if he does, though, I got to think he's limited early on.
I was going to say the same thing, even if he is, because they said all signs point to him being able to go in week 4, which is phenomenal for Chris Godwin and the Buccaneers as a whole, Chris Godwin managers. But you and I always say this, it takes a while to ramp back up to 100%. And so that's the thing I'm watching with Chris Godwin is that, yes, he's probably obviously going to be a focal point in this offense if we don't have Mike Evans going for week 4 and then the bye weeks start coming up. But I think it's going to take him just a couple weeks to get back into game shape, to get up to speed and everything. But you have to be, I mean, we don't want injuries, but obviously if you're a Chris Godwin manager coming back in at a time where they are going to desperately need him, it feels like, it's going to be interesting. I agree with you though. I think it does take a week or two to get, back up to speed.
Look, just because you're out there and playing doesn't mean that you're going to produce. Just look at Stephon Diggs. I mean, right? He has done nothing so far. Like, you were happy. Okay, he's good to start the year. We saw him cutting in those videos in July, but he has not been productive. So you can be out there, which is great. We like to see it, but doesn't mean you're automatically going to come in and put up statistics.
Head to the waiver wire, fantasylife.com. That's where you can go. We'll break down the whole waiver wire article, and there are some sleeper picks in there. There are some picks for obviously people in some of those more shallow leagues. And then if you're in a deeper format, I did make sure that you have some guys that I know are going to be available this coming week. So make sure you go and check that out. Can we talk about something like happy, something good? Because that's just too many injuries going on. Can we talk about the Eagles? At least we got some fantasy points from the Eagles, right? First of all, the games. So I called it the field goal block party across the early slate because 3 kicks were blocked in the final 2 minutes of 3 separate games, and 2 of those swayed the final result. So one of those was the Eagles, and the other one was in Green Bay, and then it was the Jets kick as well. But I mean, the Eagles actually scored fantasy points, Adam. We deserved it. We needed it. All my AJ Brown shares were so happy after this, but the passing game came back to life a little bit after attempting 23, 22 passes week 1 and 2. Jalen Hurts got it together, had season highs in completions at 21, pass attempts at 32, and passing yards and touchdown passes. Look at that. How happy were you?
Well, look, if we get the Eagles to trail 26-7 every week, then they can be productive. That's all we need. We just need them to be trailing big in order for them to pass. But this was one of the worst bad beats I've seen in a long time. It happens every week. But if you had Rams 3.5 plus 3.5, I feel bad for you because that was brutal. There's no way they should have lost that. First of all, they dominated this game. They should have been up way earlier, much more. They kept settling for field goals. Stafford missed so many plays in this game. I mean, it was all Rams, and this is the thing with the Eagles. You cannot let that team hang around. You give them life. Jalen Hurts is going to put you away, and that's exactly what happened. And then you're like, okay, well, Rams are lining up for the field goal. Worst case scenario, okay, fine, they win. Maybe you had the money line. Mm-hmm. If they missed the field goal, fine, they still cover. It's a 1-point loss. Instead, they blocked the field goal and return her for a touchdown as time expires. I mean, just brutal. But we said you had to stay patient with A.J. Brown and Smith, that eventually there would be a game like this. And A.J. Brown is still one of the best wide receivers in the NFL.
Yes.
We just need the targets, and we finally got them. 10 targets, 6 for 109 and a touchdown. Smith came through as well, 8 for 60, a touchdown and 9 targets. And we need to see more of this. So you just need to make sure that these teams that Philly's playing can give them a game. They are at Tampa next week. So although Tampa has won 3 games now in the final minute.
I know.
They've had to come back.
It's crazy.
So
I don't know how they keep doing that.
And there are injuries on the offensive line, too. I mean, it held up against the Jets. They were able to survive that one. But early in that game, they were penalty after penalty for holding. They have a lot of injuries on the offensive line. We spoke about Mike Evans. There's a chance he doesn't play next week. So they are banged up. And then Emeka Egbuka, you heard conflicting pregame reports. Oh, he could be limited. And, of course, a lot of questions on that. Look, I played him everywhere. I mean, it's not like I have better options in some of them. But, some of the questions I got, it depended on who, like someone said, Egbuka or Jordan Mason. I said, you can go Mason there, right?
Mhm.
But someone's like Puka or Tootin. I'm like, Tootin plays limited snaps to
Yeah.
begin with.
I
No, I'm
had
not doing that. And I know Tootin scored a touchdown, but
he
and you
didn't
got to
put
be
up as many
careful. So with
points.
these, how many times have we seen these pregame reports? Oh, limited snaps, and it never happens.
A lot.
He played less snaps than usual, but he wasn't limited. He was out there.
No, he was out there. I was going between. I had Emeka Egbuka, George Pickens, and I actually went George Pickens in that one. I said, okay, this should be better, which I'm not mad about actually.
That's fine. I mean, look, if it's
Yeah.
close and you are worried about a report, I could see doing it, but I think sometimes people overreact too much to them. If
So
the
now
team
is
if the team
yeah.
puts you out there and they feel you're good enough to go, usually I'm going to go with it. And there will be times I'm sure someone's like, "Oh, well, this time it happened, it didn't work." Yeah, nothing's ever 100%.
Yeah, look at who did that recently in the last couple the Bengals. The Bengals had done
T
that to us
Higgins?
before with T Higgins. You remember that
Yeah.
game where you were like, where's T Higgins? I thought you said everything was good to go, but I understood it. I did get I got a ton of messages just about Emeka Egbuka and his status, but obviously he was able to come back. And yeah, the Eagles taking on the road Tampa Bay going into week 4. Is this a sell high situation for AJ Brown, DeVonta Smith? I mean, if they're coming off games where you say, all right, finally, AJ Brown kind of snapped out of the funk that was the first couple weeks of the season, 10 targets, 6 receptions, 109 receiving yards, 1 touchdown, and then DeVonta Smith, 9 targets, 8 receptions, 60 receiving yards, 1 touchdown as well. Is this the time, or do you think that we actually see this Eagles team look like this week in and week out? Because like you said, and we said this earlier in the week last week, they need to be behind. Like they need to be playing a team that is pushing them. And that's what we got in this game. And it felt like they just said, fine, I guess we have to do this through the air because Saquon Barkley, it wasn't working out with him on the ground. And so I'm curious for you, sell high or hold tight? Because I'm a little bit torn. So they've got the Bucks, they've got the Broncos at home the next week, and then they take on the Giants and the Vikings for the next 4 weeks.
Yeah, I'm generally keeping the guys because I just don't think you can go. This is not high school football. I don't think you can go 20, 22 pass attempts every single week. We saw them, have few pass attempts last year, and AJ Brown still put up numbers. It's just he didn't live up to the expectation. He was a first round pick last year, late first round. This year he went late second round. So the other issue is, what are you trading him for? Because we have a lot of receivers right now that are disappointing, and so I don't know what you're getting for him at this point. And you brought up Saquon Barkley. I haven't heard anyone say anything. Barkley's averaging 3.3 yards per carry right now.
Yeah.
Like he has not had a 100-yard game yet. His longest run is 16 yards. So could it be that teams are really just trying to lock him down and maybe it opens up more for the receivers? Because remember last year, Barkley had 200-yard rushing games against the Rams. So it looked like the Rams came in and said, all right, we're not letting Barkley beat us. And A.J. Brown and Smith said, okay, then we will.
Yeah, I saw you wrote that up this morning, right? You've got your article at
Yeah,
fantasylife.com, the week 3 recap. Always recommend people go and check that out because I always do. I find little things that I miss throughout the games when we're writing stuff down. And I'm like, oh yeah, that happened. Oh yeah, this happened. But I know. AJ, I already saw that question at K Valenzuela 17 at Adam Ronis over there on X. I already saw the questions about Brown and DeVonta Smith, but you're right. It depends on what you're getting back for it. We're going to be opening up the phone lines here in a little bit going into the water cooler, and we'll see if anyone has questions on that. But at least, Adam, we got fantasy points, right? That's all that matters.
Well, not if you had Malik Neighbors.
Well, okay, no, I meant for the Eagles. I didn't mean for everyone. Don't bring Malik Neighbors into this. I think CeeDee Lamb ended with 0.
0,
right?
yeah. Trust me, I know. I
great.
have him on several teams. That was
I've
fun.
got him everywhere as well. It's not great. Anyway,
I mean, that's an injury, though. See, that,
I know.
But I respect the players that put up points before they get hurt. So
Exactly. George Kittle that one week where
at least Kittle,
scored a touchdown.
he was early second quarter, but he got his touchdown before he left. Respect.
We're kidding. All right, we're going to continue on. You guys already know it's an Overreaction Monday, and we've got a lot of things to overreact about. We're going to be talking about Brian Thomas Jr., what you can do for your sanity if you have him on your fantasy squads, talk a little bit about Dak Prescott, the Bears looking pretty good. We're going to do that here coming up next. Oh, we are right here getting you ready, breaking down everything from week 3. I like this music, Adam. This is good. I'm pumped up. Ready to run through a brick wall?
Are you?
Yeah, kind of. It might be the coffee, though. Might be the coffee, might be us talking about Caleb Williams here on an Overreaction Monday, or just me looking at my fantasy scores with Dak Prescott. Either way, I want to start with the positives. I know, just shake your head. It's bad. I can't do it. But Caleb Williams, we can at least start with the good here. And I think that the Dallas Cowboys are just going to be a team we end up picking on the whole rest of the way, because Russell Wilson tore up the Dallas Cowboys in week 2. And then Caleb Williams, career best, 29.12 fantasy points going up against the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday. And when he was throwing it deep, he was completing 7 of his 13 attempts of at least 10 yards downfield for all 4 of those touchdowns. And he was someone that struggled. And again, maybe it's going to be a week in, week out kind of thing. But I think this was one of the biggest wins for the Bears, because I think this was one that they just needed, because you were getting a little bit nervous. You're saying, okay, we're going into week 3, going into week 4. What is this team going to look like? But hats off to Caleb Williams and being able to put up points for his fantasy managers. I know you have him in a good amount of places. I do as well. And so it was nice to get to kind of just get through it and say, okay, this is what they can look like. They don't get to play the Dallas Cowboys, no offense, every single week, but it looked good.
Yeah, we knew that it's picking on the Cowboys defense all year. They just let receivers get behind them early in the game. A flea flicker, Luke the Burden wide open for a 65-yard touchdown. They just cannot cover. They cannot get pressure on the quarterback. And as I said, when everyone says, oh, here's the shootout game of the week, it always disappoints. And this one did. You got your performances from the Bears, even though across the board, it could have been better. Like DeAndre Swift did not find the end zone. It was disappointing. He had 10 points in a PPR, a little over 10. Caleb Williams obviously came through. No one's starting Luke the Burden. He's still not playing enough snaps, maybe later in the year. Romo Dunze looked like he was getting off to a great start. He only had 3 for 62 and a touchdown. Again, that's fine, but in this environment, you expected more. DJ Moore finally found the end zone, but again, 4 for 21. Colston Loveland got hurt. Not that anyone's playing him at this point. But Dallas didn't cooperate. I mean, this game went under. It was 49.5, 50-point total, and they didn't score in the second half. So CeeDee Lamb, the injury, him leaving, certainly took something, I guess, away from them. But Jake Ferguson, massive game.
Oh, my
14
gosh.
targets,
Yeah.
13 for 82. I played as prop. It was 39.5 receiving yards.
Nice.
So that was one of the sweat-free cashes. George Pickens found the end zone. He did have a ball deflect off his hands and go into the arms of a defender for an interception. That kind of hurt them. And then he had a little outburst on the sideline. So
just a little one, though.
Took it till game 3 for that to happen.
We don't have to pay attention to it. It's fine.
But yeah, this was very disappointing, like you said, with Dak Prescott, because you expected better numbers than 251, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions. That's not what we're looking for. So,
he's giving me shades of Kyler Murray, where we're going to have big weeks and then it's just going to come kind of back down to earth. Not in terms of play, but just in terms of fantasy points scored, because this was the same conversation I remember vividly us having after Kyler Murray starting last season. And again, it's not in terms of play. It's just in terms of what the fantasy output is going to be week in and week out. And that's what, 31 of 40, 251, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, like you said. And then they lost that game 31 to 14. We know that missing CeeDee Lamb, even if it's for a long period of time, a shorter period of time, it's that is definitely going to hurt this team. But they just feel disjointed. Even Javonte Williams in the beginning, that was the opening possession, right? That he was out there and then
they just took the ball out of his hands.
Yeah, it was just not good. But yeah, that's what it feels like right now for me as a Dak Prescott manager. I'm like, oh, okay, I feel really good this week. And then the next week you're like, oh, 12 fantasy points. This isn't fun.
Yeah,
or sustainable.
They're really not getting anything downfield. It's a lot of short throws. I mean, that's why Jake Ferguson is piling up the fantasy points right now. What you liked about Dak going into the year is you knew this defense was going to be bad, and it would force them to either be in shootouts or play from behind a lot. And the pass attempts have been there. I mean, he had 40 against Chicago, 52 against the Giants. That game was a game that went to overtime, and they ran about 90 plays. But that's what you're hoping for, is that volume is there, and it has been. It's just it's been a disappointing start for Dak so far from a fantasy perspective.
Next week, he's got to be close to a bench start, right? I mean, going up against the Packers.
Yeah, I mean,
if you have Drake May, I mean, I'm even throwing names out there.
You play Drake May over him, I think, at this point. Yeah.
It's just, which is not fun. But let me just say this: the backup quarterbacks, some of them did well enough, right, to get you through it, and others, You want to talk Jake Browning here? Oh my gosh. He was my hand up. He was my highest ranked backup quarterback, excuse me, from week going into this week. And he did not deliver in this one. And I don't know if we shouldn't overreact and say that we should be a little bit worried about just the Bengals as a whole. Here's what I'll say. If they continue playing like this, we will not see Joe Burrow back because they will be in no place to go into a playoff spot, to go anywhere. And so why would you bring him back if they can't go to the playoffs, make a run for that Super Bowl? But Browning was it just wasn't very good. If you were able to start him, he took 3 sacks. The run game for Cincinnati was nowhere. I think that's the third straight week that we haven't really seen that. And it's time to be worried about Chase Brown. I think it was just an ugly outing, and Browning, just didn't get you the fantasy points. Even middle of the road fantasy points that you might have wanted, Adam, like 12, you're just like, okay, what are we looking at here?
Yeah, it was brutal. Like, again, we've seen in the past, he filled in to 2023, had some good games, but this was brutal. I mean, it was a tough spot. I mean, Minnesota's defense on the road, but yeah, across the board, I mean, Jamar Chase is the only guy that gave you at least something decent. It's not what you want from Jamar Chase because you took him as your number 1 overall in most leagues, but at least 5 for 50, okay. If that's the floor game, you'll accept that. But yeah, you're worried about everyone else here, especially Chase Brown, where 10 carries for 3 yards, 4 catches for 17 yards. And it's now 3 straight weeks that we've seen the volume and no performance there. And then, of course, T. Higgins, you have to be worried about. Just 2 targets, 1 catch for 15 yards. And the schedule upcoming is not kind to them either. That's the other part, is that you're going to have to get through a stretch here where they're at Denver on Monday night. Home to the Lions, and then at Green Bay. So that's a tough stretch right here where they could start to get buried a little bit. But there's really not much you can do, though, if you have those players, right? I mean, Chase Brown was going in the second round of a lot of leagues. So unless you really have a lot of running back depth or playing a shallow league, you're probably going to run him out there just based for the volume, and you're hoping that he can find the end zone. But you're clearly downgrading your expectations for all of them. I mean, T. Higgins might be a guy, though, that you start to look at and maybe bench,
put into a trade package. This might be the week we're going to be talking about that, but you'd have to put him with other players, because a 1-for-1 for T. Higgins right now is not going to get you any kind of return that is going to be worth it for you. And that's the one thing with Cincinnati that you're just really disappointed in right now, is that when you looked at Browning in 2023, when we talked about him having, pretty good PFF grades and everything like that, he was passable when he was out there in 2023. But now you come into this season, and I know it's a 1-week sample and maybe it gets better, but like you said, going up against the Broncos, the Lions, and the Packers in the next 3 weeks, I don't think we want to bet on that. And it's just disappointing because, like you said, if you had Joe Burrow, if you went out and paid money for Browning, there's probably not much more you can do. Marcus Mariota was probably, he was able to go out there and get fantasy points for whoever started him, but he was looking like he was just going to be in for 1 week. Again, Jaden Daniels, they told us throughout the week, he needs to practice to be able to go out there, and he just wasn't. But we're expecting Jaden Daniels back. Same with Justin Fields, because Justin Fields was in the concussion protocol. The Jets with Tyrod Taylor, I think, again, passable if you were needing to start him. Again, all better spots, though, than what you got from Jake Browning. So you have to be a little bit happy with that. But yeah, I think Marcus Mariota was the highest scoring backup quarterback this weekend. Yeah, he was. So
yeah, I started him in a super flex league where I lost
you're
Burrow.
happy with that?
Yeah, it was between him or Wentz, and I went Mariota because of his ability to run, and he did come through. He had a rushing touchdown, didn't he?
He did. Yeah, yeah. Some parts didn't. Some parts looked a little ugly, but he got through it.
They were in control of that game the whole way, so he really didn't need to do much. Only 21 pass attempts, 15 completions, but 6 carries, 40 yards, and a touchdown. So he does have that ability. We saw it last year in the 2 games he appeared in. He also gave you some rushing yards. So that's why he was a little bit more appealing because of his ability to run.
Carson Wentz not bad, right? Really, it was the Minnesota Vikings defense. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry to anyone that was going up against someone playing the Minnesota Vikings defense, because your day might have been over by the time that game finished up. But I got some funny. It's funny to me. I know it wasn't funny to you guys, but I got some screenshots where I just shook my head. There's nothing you can do in that situation. But the Minnesota Vikings defense came to play, and it was absolutely insane. And then shout out to Kevin O'Connell, kind of kept the offense offense afloat when you look at Carson Wentz, and he 14 for 20, 173. And he was still, again, you look just for fantasy points in this situation. You hope that your quarterback, if you have to start Carson Wentz going into the week, you just say, please, just even no matter how ugly it is, just get me fantasy points. And he was able to do that. 15.32 over on ESPN, which again, Adam, you're going to take when it's a backup quarterback that you just weren't expecting to need to start this early.
Yeah, and he brought some life to TJ Hawkinson, 5 for 49, a touchdown on 6 targets. So you like to see that because the first 2 weeks were rough. And you figure veteran quarterback would look to his tight end there. And Justin Jefferson, 5 for 75. You'll take that. So he got the ball to those 2 key players, and they will get back Jordan Addison next week.
Oh, yeah. Is it next week already?
Yeah, next week.
Time is flying by. Are you? Yeah, I've got Jordan Addison only on one team.
Me too.
Do you?
Yeah, one team.
I don't know if I'm looking forward to having, like, I might look to sell him right now. I need other. I've got good receivers on the team that I have him. I might look to sell him for a running back.
Yeah, I don't know what you're gonna get.
I don't know either.
Especially with the quarterback situation there. Again, it's one game. Wentz didn't need to do much. Basically, the defense won him that game. Now they head to overseas for 2 straight weeks because we have the 9:30 a.m. Eastern game this week. It'll be Minnesota and Pittsburgh.
9:30 Eastern?
Yes.
I forgot about that.
I know. 2 weeks in a row.
I'll be up. I'll be awake. It'll be fine.
I will, unfortunately, too.
Well, I know you have to. You have to work. I have to work. We have to be up. Just really quickly, last one on Overreaction Monday. But really, I wrote out, and I kind of was not kidding, sell Brian Thomas Jr. for whatever, a pack of gum and your sanity. That's what I wrote out because I was just so angry. I'm
fine. See, you're the overreaction fan now.
Exactly.
But what are you getting for him?
Nothing. A rock. I don't know. Good sleep. What do you mean? It's horrible.
This is the worst time to trade him.
No, I know, but that's why it's an Overreaction Monday. It's, Adam, you have to admit though how bad it is.
It is very bad.
It doesn't feel like it's going to get better.
25 targets on the season, 7 receptions. I mean, that is just absolutely horrendous. And if it wasn't for a 46-yard catch at the end of the game, near the end, we'd be even looking at a worse line.
Yep.
It would have been, 1 for 9? So,
the Jaguars, they went with a rotation at wide receiver, and that was with Diami Brown a little banged up with the shoulder. So it was Brian Thomas Jr., 81% of the routes, 16% targets, which, by the way, season low in routes for Brian Thomas Jr. at 81%. Parker Washington was out there, 74% routes, 29% of the targets. And then Travis Hunter, 63% routes, 5% of the targets. So I don't know if this sticks or not, but it's not ideal. And again, season low in routes for BTJ is just what did it for me. You just, at this point though, you're right. You just have to shake your head. I just like it's an Overreaction Monday, a little bit dramatic here, but you just have to shake your head and say, really, this is what you're getting out of Brian Thomas Jr. in season low routes for him coming off this weekend. It's just absolutely brutal.
Yet this team is 2-1. So, Parker Washington led the team in targets with 11, then Brenton Strange with 7, then 6 for Thomas. Trevor Lawrence was brutal, 20 of 40 for 222. Time's running out here, Trevor Lawrence. You got paid all your money. They bring in Liam Cohen. It's just not happening. I mean, this guy has not been good.
No, I think it might be time to just say maybe he's just bad.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of us thought that, but some were hoping that,
yelling at us in their car. They're like,
in.
We were trying to tell you.
Yeah.
I just wanted to believe that a Liam Cohen-led offense with Trevor Lawrence coming off his injury and having all the weapons at his disposal would be better. But obviously, Adam, it's probably not. But here's the thing. They're not going to do anything this season. You're not going to see him benched.
No, they're 2-1. I mean, the schedule of coming is they're at San Francisco, home to the Chiefs, home to Seattle, and then Rams overseas. That is a tough stretch where they might not win a game there.
Yeah, it's really bad. All right, it's Overreaction Monday. You guys can call us in, give us your overreactions, 888-963-2682, or press that new call-in button on the Sirius XM app. Time to go through the fantasy winners and losers from this week. We're going to hit that coming up next. Let's be real, you're here to win a fantasy championship, and guess what? You're not going to win playing it safe. You've got to go hard, and no one understands that better than Mike's Hard Lemonade. To succeed in fantasy, sometimes you got to take bold risks like reaching for a rookie, making a blockbuster trade, or blowing all your fab on a breakout player. And yes, your league mates might roast you in the group chat, but hey, legends do not play scared. They go hard just like Mike's Hard Lemonade. So make sure you crack open a cold Mike's, kick back for a second, and remember, nobody makes lemonade like Mike's. Find Mike's nearest you at www.mikeshard.com. Mike's is hard, so is prison. Don't drive drunk. Premium malt beverage with flavors, all registered trademarks used under license by Mike's Hard Lemonade Co., Chicago, Illinois. Oh, it sure is. We appreciate everyone hanging out with us on this Monday morning. Your lineup secret weapon, Adam, might have been Trey Tucker. If anyone listening started Trey Tucker, please stand up, like applaud, pat yourself on the back. I don't know, send us the screenshots, because what are we doing, Adam? Trey Tucker in the winners section that I didn't even think was going to happen for him throughout the year, let alone going in this early. But he was the first player to break the 40-point barrier in PPR scoring this season. Had a career best 40.9. That's what I'm going to count that. And listen, 9 targets was incredible for him, and he just had a huge day. I actually did write him up, and you'll read about it at fantasylife.com in the waiver wire article. Don't know if this is more a flash in the pan than anything else, but the Raiders are going to be home playing the Bears going into week 4. So that's, a team where you say, okay, maybe he's going to be able to do this again. But wow, what a day for Trey Tucker. Shout out.
Yeah, if you did start him, please tell me and why. That certainly was a massive surprise.
It was awesome. What? I said send us a screenshot. That's awesome.
For sure.
Started him.
Look, he is playing a lot of snaps. We know that. And the Raiders are going to be in a lot of game scripts where they are passing and playing from behind. But he had 8 targets last week and caught 3 passes for 12 yards. So my guess is this is going to be, you will not see him total this many touchdowns the rest of the year combined. So I understand everyone's going to run to pick him up, because whenever you see a performance like this, that's what people do. But I would not be spending a lot of money.
Yeah, no, I think there's better options. Again, that article is live, fantasylife.com, for my waiver wire article, and it is 100% free. I think there's better options for you. Like I said, could be a flash, just a flash in the pan. But again, the Raiders are going to be home taking on the Bears, and I think it's, if you like the risk that comes with Trey Tucker, then you can go for him. But no matter what, he still gets a shout out, because he was definitely a weekly winner, and I'm excited to see you're right, who started him and why. You know what I did? I dropped him yesterday. That was fun.
Before
I had to pick someone
game?
up. Yeah, had to pick someone up.
Oh, wow.
Just had to.
Okay.
Listen, what are we talking about here? I needed a tight end really badly.
Okay.
Jonathan Taylor, shout out. Jonathan Taylor is one where, again, we're already going into week 4, and I will just say I don't have enough Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor I wasn't fading him, but he wasn't necessarily on my radar in the range that he was going. I think I remember someone calling in and asking us about that, and oh my gosh, he is just getting you fantasy points. That's all he's doing. He is just doing everything he can to help you win your leagues this season. So he has multiple explosive runs in each of the 3 games, and it's just looking really good at him. He's just going to be one of those players I know at the end of the year that I look back and I just say, should have taken more, and I didn't.
Yeah, I only have him in 1 redraft league. It's actually one of my better teams, so it was late 2nd round. He was doing this last year to end the year. He had a ridiculous stretch where if you were able to make the playoffs with him, he probably helped win you a league. And it's 2 100-yard rushing games now. He looks explosive. He's breaking tackles, 5.6 yards per carry. And, the Colts offense is just, really put together right now, and it's rolling. So it's a great start for Taylor. And, they're not afraid to give him like 25 touches in a game, too. No. They didn't need to in this game, but we saw 2 weeks ago in a tight game, he had 27 touches. So he's a workhorse. I thought he would be a little bit more involved in the pass game with Al Richardson at quarterback. He's only got 8 receptions, but that's fine. I mean, he's given you at least something in the passing game as compared to like last year where there were games where you were getting nothing with Richardson at quarterback. There were many games last year he had 0 or 1 catch. He only finished with 18 receptions, but We know Taylor's capable of doing this. He ended the season last year with 4 straight 100-yard rushing games, and he also ended the season with 6 rushing touchdowns in the last 4. So he's capable of putting together these dominant stretches, and we're seeing it right now.
Yeah, he's giving us those RB1 numbers. I mean, he's tied for the league's lead when we're looking at when I talked about the multiple explosive runs, and then he has 61 more rushing yards than expected per next gen stats. So you look at week 2, you say, oh, this was fantastic. I love 29.5 PPR fantasy points. And then you come in week 3 and say, all right, how's 32.8 fantasy points for you on a Sunday? So you're loving what he's giving you, and you're just, you're loving the Colts offense. I think that was the one thing when we talked about JT, it was like, okay, who's going to be the quarterback? What are they going to look like? It feels like a downgrade because of these quarterbacks with Jonathan Taylor, but that is not the case right now. So he's shaping up as someone that could help you win your leagues. I know it's early, but you're just really loving what he's giving you. I've got a couple of fantasy losers on the week, Adam. Guys that obviously did not help you win your fantasy football matchups over the weekend. We've got a couple names. We have to talk about them here. Coming up next. Right here on Fantasy Live, Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. It is an Overreaction Monday, guys. So we are here opening up the phone lines for you because you know what's coming up next. We're going to go to the water cooler, break down all the news and notes you need to know. 888-963-2682 is the phone number, or press that new call-in button on the Sirius XM app. We've got a good game tonight, Adam, that we're going to be breaking down here in a little bit as well. But some fantasy losers. First of all, let me just say this. You're going to have the easiest time with Paul Charchian coming on tomorrow, and you get to pick first all the players that didn't help your guillotine leagues, because I think you can pick every single player that got hurt and you'll be just fine. CeeDee Lamb will be the easiest.
Oh, okay. You're just going to feed me the content now?
Well, what are you talking about? You weren't going to say CeeDee Lamb?
No, I was.
With zeros?
Definitely. He has to be up there.
He has to be. I'm curious if you're going to say Saquon Barkley, because he also, I mean, probably not, but he did not put up fantasy points and did not give you what you wanted. Finished with 55 total yards, season low, 9.4 fantasy points. And yeah, between him, I mean, Ashton Jeanty managers got a lot of messages about Ashton Jeanty as well. Like Saquon Barkley is one thing, but Ashton Jeanty is another. Where you picked him up, what the expectations were for the rookie running back, just managed 6.3 PPR fantasy points in week 3. Those are two of my biggest losers, I think, from this past week.
Yeah, I think Jeanty has looked good when you see him. The problem is the offense and the role in the offense. He's not involved in the passing game right now. And that's the one thing. When these running backs have a bad game or don't find the end zone, some of them have the floor of, okay, well, they caught 3-4 passes for 20 yards, and right there's, 5-6 points. So if we had gotten that from Jeanty and he gets the 63 yards rushing, oh, okay, 12 points in a PPR, cool. That's a floor game, fine. We know he should at some point find the end zone. But when you're just getting the 63 yards rushing and no receptions, that's where it's a problem. So I think it should get better for him. They did talk about getting him the ball more, and they did, 17 carries, but they were just in a bad game script the entire way. I mean, they were down 20-10 at the half, and then it was 34-10 after 3 quarters. So the fact that he got 17 carries in that type of game script is actually a good sign, but you need to now see him score touchdowns and also be involved in the passing game.
He's now averaged fewer than 4 yards per carry each of his first 3 NFL games. But to you, could this be a buy low situation with Ashton Jeanty if someone really is looking around, if you've got running backs that maybe one of your league mates wants and is being productive right now, you're looking at a good spot. Maybe you've got 3 wins under your belt, maybe you're 2-1, and you're looking at Jeanty saying, I think this could be good. Again, the Las Vegas Raiders are going up week 4 against the Bears and their defense. But for you long term, Ashton Jeanty buy low? Or no?
Yeah, I think so, because again, we've seen rookies start slowly. We're seeing a lot of running backs, and the volume is going to be there. So I think it will get better for him. I do want to see him more involved in the passing game, though. That's the one thing that's concerning.
We want a lot of things in fantasy football, Adam, and hopefully we're getting hopefully we start to get them. But we are here going to break down all the news and notes that you need to know, especially those injuries. We're heading to the water cooler, taking your phone calls here. Coming up next. Oh, it is about that time. Time for the Fantasy Life Water Cooler, where we go through all the pieces of news that you might have missed over the course of week 3, all the injury news as well, and keep you updated because that's what you're always going to be when you listen to this show, up to date on all the news and everything else you need to know to continue dominating those fantasy leagues. Again, we've got Monday Night Football. We're going to be breaking that down here in a little bit, but Adam, I will just say, wait, let me just say this. FantasyLife.com. I'm just getting too excited to talk to you about Tory Horton. That's just one thing I'm too excited to talk about. FantasyLife.com, though, is where you can go. Use that code SXM20. Gets you 20% off any tier 1 or tier 2 subscription. My waiver wire article is live there. Adam's got his article live there as well, 100% free. So make sure you go and check it out. Tory Horton, though, what? He comes on, Adam. You guys talk about, sleep and what he's doing to, stay in shape, what he's doing to help his body. And then all of a sudden you think that he went out there in that game and he said, man, that Adam guy on Sirius XM really just fired me up. He was yelling at me in a good way. He was firing me up, hyping me up. I'm just going to go and score some fantasy points for him because I don't know, Adam, that's what it felt like he did. I mean, he scored the first punt return touchdown for the Seahawks in 10 years. And not only did he do that, but again, there was other great things that he did, but he gave fantasy managers exactly what they wanted. He's on the waiver wire article, probably the headline of waiver wire articles going into this week. We'd talked about him for a couple weeks before, but shout out to Tory Horton getting you 18.2 fantasy points in that game against New Orleans.
Yeah, I asked him towards the end, do you know about fantasy football? Do you have friends coming up to you? He's like, nah, I really don't know about it. I thought about getting into it, but I never did. But I was like, well, you're probably going to start hearing about it at some point this year. And I'm sure he probably is this weekend from some friends and everything. Yeah, with
Maybe
that
it should
big,
be us.
yeah,
we text him?
that big punt return and then the catch. Look, he was really good in the preseason. We heard a lot of buzz about him. A lot of people considered him the steal to the draft. He had the injury in his senior year, and obviously that pushes you down the draft board. But it's been nothing but rave reviews from people in camp, teammates, and we saw a glimpse of it yesterday. And it really comes down to yesterday's they just dominated. There was 21-0 after the first quarter. So they didn't really need to do much. Darnold only attempted 18 passes, 14 completions. They were in control the whole way. But yeah, maybe we're looking at him as a bye week fill-in, or can he pass Cooper Kupp? Maybe. We'll see.
I think he can.
Yeah, Kupp had 3 targets, 2 for 31. And JSN continues to be one of the I will still say he's a bargain, even though he went in the 3rd round. I mean, there's a lot of people who would rather have him than some of the receivers they took in front of him.
Yeah.
Came close to his 3rd 100-yard game. Well, 96 yards, that's close enough. 29 targets in 3 games, 22 receptions, 323 and a touchdown. Yeah, if you have JSN, you are feeling really good right now because he's going to get the volume every single game. He's the go-to guy in this offense.
Yeah, after his flu game. You didn't even know if he was going to play in this one because it was the Saturday. It was the Saturday report.
Yeah, it was Saturday, but
he was watching the Mariners. He got excited.
It's an illness. He's fine.
He got sick a little bit. I couldn't imagine playing sick. That sounds awful.
I know.
But he was right. You do that for. You're like, I do that for.
Nah, I wouldn't want to do that.
MVP.
Depends how bad it is. Depends how important the game is.
Week 3 against the New Orleans Saints.
That's not as important.
It's not good enough for you? No, I get it. But yeah, JSN, like you said, is putting up amazing numbers. And again, he was able to give you 20.6. I'm looking at ESPN, the ESPN scoring, but he just continues to do it for you. I mean, 5 receptions, 96 yards, and the 1 touchdown off 6 targets. You love to see it. And same with Tory Horton. I liked that game. I was a little bit nervous going into it because I picked the Seahawks in some of the survivor pools. I had them pretty high and pick them, but they were able to come through. I only lost 1 this week, Adam, and it's in our Survivor Bowl. I don't know why I went to Green Bay. I was feeling so good about them. It was just an odd pick.
I was not. I was very worried about that game. Now, I thought Green Bay would win, but I was not confident because this Browns defense has played extremely well. Now, Green Bay probably still should have won. Jordan Love just threw a horrific interception towards the end of the game that set the Browns up. But yeah, Green Bay struggled. They could not run the ball at all. And that's something we've seen now 3 straight weeks for the Cleveland Browns. They have shut down running games. They limited Chase Brown in week 1. They held Derrick Henry to, was it 21 yards in week 2? And Josh Jacobs, 16 carries for 30 yards. So this specifically the run defense, but overall their defense is pretty good. And yeah, Green Bay coming off 2 really big wins, going to Cleveland, and Cleveland punched them in the face and was able to pull out this victory and eliminate some people from survivor pools.
Yeah, they just wanted to get them angry for you when they come and take on the Cowboys.
Yeah. I'm sure their offense will get going for sure. Matthew Golden, I don't know what his yards prop is. I can't wait for that to come out. We're going to take the over on that. It's going to take one play for him to cash it.
I hope so. I need Matthew Golden to just do anything for my fantasy teams. The Browns take on the Lions going into week 4, as you talked about. I know.
And a short week for Detroit. That is intriguing. Yeah, is that game in Cleveland?
It's at home for the Lions.
That is an intriguing game. I mean, Detroit's favored by 8.5. Short week for Detroit because they played tonight in Baltimore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting game. Nonetheless, it'll be a good one. But yeah, they're just getting the Cowboys ready for an angry Packers team to play in that week 4 matchup.
That is going to be a dreadful Sunday night broadcast to watch for me.
Do they have early lines on that?
6.5, Green Bay's favored. Total of 48.5.
Micah Parsons sacks. How many do you think that's going to be set at? 1.5.
Yeah, take the over.
Take the over for sure. I'm sorry. It'll be fine. I'll watch it for you and just give you some play-by-play. Again, we're in the water cooler here going through all the pieces of news, especially the injuries that we saw from this past week. Again, I see your phone calls coming in. Appreciate everyone doing that. We are here to help you. 888-963-2682. Any questions going into a new week? Any questions for tonight? What you need to win? The Monday Night Miracles at Valenzuela 17 at Adam Ronis. Also over there on X. If you can't call in, send us your questions, your screenshots over there. It looks like, so again, CeeDee Lamb, the update that I saw this morning is that he is believed to have suffered the high ankle sprain in that loss against Chicago. Ian Rappaport said that he is undergoing tests to determine the severity today. Any kind of high ankle sprain, though, Adam, we don't love it. I mean, even if he says that he was potentially going to be able to come back, we saw him get back in that game, and it just did not look right. So you should probably, no matter what, expect him to not be able to play in week 4. If we get better news, that's great. But we know that they do not want to mess around with those high ankle sprains because those stick around all season.
Yeah, so like if it's, a grade 1, you're probably looking at 1 to 2 weeks, and if it's worse, it could be 4 to 6. So they say it's not serious, and we have also seen players come back and not perform as well. So I think you're looking at an absence here for CeeDee Lamb, which sucks because he was taken 2nd, 3rd overall, where you were just counting on top-notch production, and now you're gonna miss him for, I would say, at least a couple of weeks, and bye weeks are coming up as well, starting in week 5. So it's not a great time.
No,
for CeeDee Lamb to go down, and I do have him in a few leagues, so it sucks.
I know you do. I do too. I was excited. I was excited to get him too. It was one of those things where you say, okay, no matter what. I mean, CeeDee Lamb was always kind of going to give you that production. I'm looking at the old draft board from the first round. It looks like who's going to be the best pick out of the first round so far through 4 weeks. It's Bijan's up there. Jahmyr Gibbs is doing it for you too.
Yeah,
Jamar Chase will be there, but all those receivers, Nico, Malik
Jefferson's
Neighbors,
disappointing too.
Puka Nacua's looking good.
Puka's the best.
Yeah, I think Puka's the best.
Think about this. If we were redrafting today, I think Puka Nacua would be the first receiver off the board. You don't think so? I think I would.
I'm looking. I think you're right.
Because
I think you're right.
Jamar Chase has a little bit of a quarterback issue. Right. I know he did perform with Browning before, but there's no way you're taking him right now.
No, if you knew Browning was in, you wouldn't.
Jefferson, same issue. Again, we've seen him perform with a lot of different quarterbacks, but the ceiling's not as high. I think it's Puka. I mean, look what Puka has done through 3 games. It's insane. 11 targets, 9 and 15. At least 8 receptions in every game. His receiving prop was 6.5 receptions. They're going to have to push that to 7.5 because everyone's going to take the over. Now, he hasn't scored a touchdown. Well, he did, a rushing touchdown in week 2, 45, but no receiving touchdowns. And that was the one thing I said when I wrote up Puka. I said, he's going to be really good. I'm just concerned about the lack of touchdowns because we've seen it throughout his career, and now you see it. DeVonta Adams is the guy they're looking for in the red zone. Doesn't mean Puka can't be good. I mean, PPR, we still love it, and he will be, but he just has not been a big touchdown guy in his first 2 years in the league. I mean, last year he only had 3 receiving touchdowns, and in his rookie year he only had 6. So, but who cares? I mean, with what he's doing right now, because the reason why Puka fell
It
is
wasn't
Matthew
even
Stafford's
him. It was
back.
Yes, it was Stafford. It had nothing to do with Puka Nacua as a player or his talent. It was Matthew Stafford being banged up in the preseason.
Yeah, I think if we were drafting today, that Puka would be the first receiver off the board. I know that might sound crazy, but
No, I mean, look, 10 receptions, 8, 11. You're looking at 11 targets, 9 targets, 15 targets. And
yeah,
then this was his lowest fantasy output in week 3. And that gave you 22.8, looking at ESPN scoring, 22.8 fantasy points, 27 in week 2 and 23 in week
yeah.
1.
It's just
It's insane.
you know what the Rams are doing. Again, that's why we love this offense. The ball's going to Puka. It's going to DeVonta Adams. It's going to Kyron Williams. Maybe Blake Corum's mixed in a little bit more now, but you know where the ball is going. It's not like Denver where they target 10 different receivers, and then
Yep.
1 week it's Sutton, 1 week it's Franklin, and then Mims will have a big game. So, yeah, I mean, Puka Nacua, and some people got him mid-second round, maybe late second round, depending on when you drafted. So, yeah, I think if we were drafting again today, I think he would be the first receiver off the board.
I think you're right, which is crazy to say, but he is. He's doing it for you. So if you have Puka Nacua, you are, and where you got him again, that was the end of the first round. The 1-2 turn usually was where he was falling. And like you said, depending on when you were drafting, if it was during the Matthew Stafford news with his back, he's getting these injections, he's doing all this stuff. He fell in the second round, and so if you were able to pick him up there, that was a screaming value so far to start the season. A couple more here, and then we're gonna get to some phone calls. I just wanted to go through all the injuries and where we're at with some of them. This one, it obviously matters because it's Mac Jones, but it looks like Mac Jones re-aggravated that PCL sprain. Stop. I'm not going to do it. This is the last
I'm gonna
week
get you. I'm telling you, watch.
No,
I'm gonna get you.
No, you're not. I'm
Do you get the reference?
Yes,
do you know what it's from?
Of course, yes, I get the reference. I'm just not going to say it.
Why?
You're
You
not
act
going to
like
get
it's
me.
negative.
No, you're just. I just know that you'd hold that over my head. You're not going to get me with Mac Jones. No, I know you. Anyways,
Okay.
Mac Jones re-aggravated the PCL sprain that he had before. He re-aggravated that on Sunday, and so that was something that he was dealing with over the summer. Thank goodness they've got Brock Purdy back. It looks like Brock Purdy should be back, right? He returned to practice last week, was limited all 3 days, and then obviously didn't play in week 3, but that's something with Mac Jones you kind of just have to watch out for. James Conner, it's a season-ending injury for him. They have season-ending surgery coming up. I think it might be today, but that was a really, really bad injury for him. And then it's same with Najeee Harris. Went down with the Achilles injury. He's going to be out for the rest of the season. And then we're waiting on hopefully good news, but we'll see. Mike Evans is having the MRI on his hamstring today. So that's a big one that we're waiting on. Anything else? Any other injuries? Oh my gosh, there were so many. Tyrone Tracy went down yesterday with the shoulder injury. Had a couple concussions. With some of the smaller guys, like
Alec
Pierce went down with a concussion, unfortunately. And then CeeDee Lamb, we already talked about, but he is going to be getting that MRI today as well. So it's really a wait and see situation with all the injury updates today. But we at least know 2 of them, and that's Najeee Harris, James Conner, going to be out for the rest of the season, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I would definitely expect Mike Evans to miss time.
And CeeDee Lamb.
Yes.
Yes. Anyone else? Did I miss anything? That's so many injuries. What are we doing?
It's unfortunately part of the game.
I know. We say it every year, but it feels like a lot.
Yeah. It's because they're key players. That's why. When it's like top players taken in the first 4 rounds, it stings more because you're counting on that high floor production every single week, and now all of a sudden it's gone, and now you have to dig deep into your bench, and you could have had other injuries. And again, this is why it's always tough to take on like a suspended player like Rashee Rice for 6 games. I mean, there might be some teams who are in good shape right now and look like they can overcome it, and then there's other situations where you're like, wow, now I have 2 injured receivers, because you could have Lamb, Evans, and Rice. I mean, think about that right now, what you're looking at the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's brutal. Absolutely brutal. We're going to go through the waiver wire article here tomorrow, but that is live at fantasylife.com if you guys want to go and check it out. There are definitely some names that I know are you got to dive deep a little bit, Adam, and you have to tell yourself a story. But I will say this too: you've got bye weeks coming up very quickly. So you've got week 4, and then week 5 starts the buys. And so I always say you want to be a week early. We say that, Adam. You be a week early. You don't want to be going into week 5 and hoping that you're going to find someone to fill in for some of your players. So make sure you're looking at that going into this week. We're gonna head out to the phone lines now. Our favorite time of the day. So 888-963-2682 is the phone number to call in. Let's go out to Jace in Texas. Jace, what do you got for us?
Morning. Quick question. I've got Derrick Henry down 20 points and some change, basically 21 points needed for the win. What are you guys thinking?
Ooh, 20 points to win the matchup? What do you think, Adam? I want to say
Look,
yes, but that's going to be close.
yeah, I think your chances are likely less than 50%, but it's Derrick Henry. And we know Derrick Henry can break off like an 80-yard run for a touchdown at any time. Yeah, I mean, just look what he did against Buffalo in week 1. Now, it wasn't as good last week against Cleveland, but we brought up earlier how tough that Browns run defense is, where he just had 23 yards. So, look, Henry's always capable of scoring 2 touchdowns. I think that's what you need. If you get 2 touchdowns from him, that's 12, and then, that should lead to 80 yards. So, usually in most cases, you say, yeah, I don't know, but it's Derrick Henry, and he could go off at any time. So, I think it's certainly possible.
Yeah, we're going to be positive. We're going to say yeah. Just say yes. Yes.
I don't lie to
Chase, you're gonna
people.
win.
You
Well,
like to
I
lie.
don't
I
lie.
don't.
What are you talking?
I'm
What?
being realistic
Wow.
here.
What is happening here? You said I like injuries. You
Well,
said I
because
like
you're
to
just telling him
lie.
what he
are you
wants to hear.
talking
You
about?
can't do that.
Yeah, I just want to be positive. It's called
Okay.
manifesting. We're gonna say that. Let's go. Let's go out. That's my answer for everything. Let's go out to Eddie in California. Oh, shout out California. What do you got for us, Eddie?
Hey guys, good morning. Wow, what a crazy Sunday, huh? Just a lot of ups and downs. I have Derrick Henry and Hampton that I've been starting every week with Malik Neighbors and Ladd McConkey. And I have a Puka on my flex. So now with the emergence of Judkins, what would you guys do there coming this week? Of course, Hampton's playing the Giants, so I gotta have him and McConkey in there. You think? So like, where would I fit him? Would I flex him over Puka, or what would you guys do right there?
Yeah, no, I get it. It's a good problem to have, Adam. I wish I had the
Yeah,
same
me
problem
too.
here as Eddie, but I mean Quinshon Judkins, and I understand it. I mean, he had 95 total yards and a touchdown on 19 touches in that week 3 win for them over over the Packers. I didn't even want to say it, but I mean, he's looked good. So I understand people are going to be calling in this week saying, how do I fit him in my lineups? Because he was probably going, he wasn't probably going, he was going way later. So you have a good lineup like Eddie, where he's like, I've got Henry, I've got Hampton. So what would you do in that situation? Ladd McConkey is an interesting name, but that's a hard lineup to squeeze him into.
Yeah, I mean, McConkey is one that I think you're a little concerned about right now because it looked like there was no competition for targets for him, and there is.
Yeah.
He's actually finished low. I think he's lower in targets than Keenan Allen and Quentin Johnston on the season.
Yep.
Again, it has not been awful. I mean, McConkey has what 13.4, 9.8, and 8.1 in a PPR, but you drafted him for more than that. He has not scored a touchdown yet, and they will come. But I think the expectations are lowered for McConkey now because of the Chargers spreading the ball around, or just bringing in Keenan Allen and Quentin Johnston, just continuing to
Man, he looks
emerge
good.
after what he finished his year strong last year, and he's looked good. I mean, he had Sertan on him for some of these
Oh yeah.
plays yesterday. So, yeah, I think look, that's a good problem to have, and I think you're going to just take it week to week, play based on matchups. But Judkins certainly is upgraded. The only other running back to get a carry yesterday was Dylan Sampson. It was one, and Jerome Ford was more of the pass catching back in those situations. So clearly, like it looked like Judkins would be slowly immersed into the offense. No, they've just said, all
No,
right, you're good
they
to
like
go,
it.
which is a little surprising with the lack of training camp and not many practices leading up to the season. But yeah, it looks like that's a big bargain. I mean, there might have been people who got him 11th, 12th round at one point, and you're looking pretty good because right now, Judkins leads the rookies in rushing yards. And if you would have put that bet out there and say,
Mm.
after he didn't play week 1, and say, okay, at the end of week 3, what are the odds that Judkins is the leading rusher for rookie running backs? You would have gotten pretty long odds and made some nice money if you took that bet.
Yeah, the targets for Lad McConkey sitting at 21 on the season with 15 receptions, but that's behind, like you said, Keenan Allen sitting at number 1 with 28 targets, and then 24 for Quentin Johnston. Both of those guys have 3 touchdowns on the season.
Yeah.
If you
And
would have
look,
told me that, I wouldn't have believed it either.
the touchdowns will come for McConkey, but it's not going to be what you paid for, because he pretty much was a second-round pick in almost every draft, maybe early third. And with the way they're distributing the ball now, it's going to be really difficult for him to have a return on that
Absolutely.
value.
No, absolutely. I agree. So I thank everyone for calling in. We're going to continue taking your phone calls here, but we're going to go over the takeovers for the running backs. And speaking of Quinshon Judkins, we have to talk about him, Omarion Hampton, now that Najeee Harris had the season-ending injury, Trey Benson as well, Jordan Mason, Travion Henderson. We've got a lot of running backs to talk about here. So we're going to talk through their potential takeover here, presented by Xfinity, coming up next. Oh, that's some good music today. I'm ready to. You're not ready to run through a brick wall? I'm pumped. I'm hyped.
No, I'm not. Have you seen the teams I root for?
Well, hey, you know who had the
Well, I
best
do want to
weekend
run through a
ever?
brick wall and
Well, I
smash
was
my
gonna
head.
say.
So I
Not
don't have to
remember
watch the
anything?
carnage that my teams have put me through.
We should do an Adam Ronis watch party for the Cowboys Green Bay Packers.
No, let's not do that.
Why?
Well,
Why? That would why?
honestly, it don't really bother me, because it all comes down to expectations, and I have low expectations, so it really, like, I don't get stressed out anymore. Like, it's one thing when your team is supposed to be good and you're sweating every play. There's none of that this year because my expectations are low. So
they were pretty
honestly,
low.
I don't really react crazy anymore, because the expectations are low.
You know who had the best weekend ever? Me.
What?
Seattle,
Well, yeah,
Seattle sports fans.
You
Come
did.
on.
Yeah, Mariners with a
Our
nice
Mariners?
sweep, and the
Oh,
Seahawks
baby.
with domination, and
Oh my gosh.
kept me alive in my survivor pool. I had
I
four.
love it here.
I have 4 selections. I took 2 on Seattle.
Oh, really? Oh, nice. Yeah, I took him a couple places, and then obviously took the Packers. I don't know why I did that. Anyways, but yeah, Seattle sports fans, stand up. We're ready. I'm ready for it. Don't talk to me in 2 weeks if I'm really sad. I might have to miss a day if the Mariners don't do what I expect them to do.
Really?
No, I'm kidding. No, I would never leave you for that. But I will be not as happy, not as happy, not as optimistic. But yeah, it was a great weekend for Seattle sports fans, Tory Horton fans, all of it. It was also a great weekend when you're looking at some of the running back takeovers. Feels like the takeovers are here for some, and then others are definitely coming because of the unfortunate injuries that we saw over the weekend. So this is running back takeovers here, presented by Xfinity, introducing the 5-year price guarantee, one consistent internet price for the next 5 years, totally guaranteed. You heard Omarion Hampton in the walk-up music that we just had, but Omarion Hampton did deliver you a season-high 24.9 points in that Week 3 win. Great win, by the way. That was a fun game to watch for the Denver Broncos. Sorry, Broncos fans, Broncos country. Not as fun for you, but that was a great game nonetheless. Again, Najeee Harris is going to be out for the season. You could tell probably right away if you were watching that game that it was an Achilles injury, and I just feel so bad for him, because you hear all about, and he has been, you don't even hear about it. He's been so durable. He hasn't missed a game in his career. He gives you 1,000 yards every single season, and you come in, and he has to leave for the remainder of the season. But Omarion Hampton, that means for him, unfortunately, it is next man up mentality. And so Omarion Hampton was held to 3.7 yards per carry against that Denver defense, but he was producing as a receiver, caught those 6 passes for 59 yards. And he's probably going to be one that starts living up to those expectations that we had earlier in the year for these coming weeks and the rest of the season.
Yeah, the worst part about Najeee Harris, he signed a 1-year deal, and a lot of it was incentive laden. So that is unfortunate for him.
I'm surprised. I'll just say this. Again, it was it's disappointing, because you knew that he was not practicing during the preseason. That's the thing that really made me not upset. You can't be upset at anyone, but it's so frustrating when you see a guy that everyone does like Najeee Harris. Like even for fantasy, if you didn't like him, he was just a durable guy. And so you have someone that has an unfortunate accident during the 4th of July. He doesn't practice. We were excited to hear that he would be running laps on the sidelines. And then, 3 weeks later, you have this happen, and it's just disappointing. You hate to see it for anyone, but that was brutal.
Yeah, and it does mean though Hampton is in store for a big
Hmm.
workload, which you might have had some concerns the last couple weeks with Najeee Harris starting to get back into football shape, starting to see a bigger piece of the workload, and Hampton just 25 touches yesterday, and that's the thing in the passing game, 6 catches for 59 yards on
Yep.
7 targets, and it was a game that they were playing from behind. It was back and forth, but Denver led. Really good win for the Chargers. Typical Chargers would usually maybe fall flat, lose that game. Nice start for them, 3-0, 2-0 in the division, looking really good right now, and Hampton is in line to be a massive workhorse. So if you do have Omarion Hampton, this is going to work out very well for you. And the offense looks really good again,
Yeah,
even
they
though
do.
it did struggle early on. But Herbert with 47 pass attempts. But this again is one of those games where you look at and you're like, you saw the pass attempts, you saw the rushing attempts. 80 plays for the Chargers, 48 for Denver.
That's crazy. And let me tell you something else you're gonna like. The Chargers are on the road against the Giants next week, so
Yeah.
you're gonna be just fine.
Yeah, the
Yeah, it's gonna be
Giants.
fine.
It's really
Not great.
struggling right now. I mean, they were not bad defensively, but I think that was more Kansas City's offense is still a
Yeah.
mess right now.
Trey Benson, another unfortunate injury when you look at James Conner. I was looking through my teams because I knew I had a little bit of James Conner, and hopefully, if you had him, that you were handcuffing him to Trey Benson. But it's going to be what we expect with an absence for James Conner the rest of the season. Again, it was just an awful lower leg injury. You don't want to see it happen to anyone, but you could tell when he was getting carted off, all the players coming to meet him in the middle of the field. So he's going to be out for the remainder of the season. That means Trey Benson getting some work. Amari DiMercado as well, but obviously we're focusing on Trey Benson here and the takeover that he's probably going to have. Got these stats from Dwayne McFarland. Post James Conner injury in week 3, Trey Benson took 87% of the snaps, 71% of the attempts, and had a 50% route rate. So he's going to upgrade to, I think, mid-range RB2 status the rest of the way. That's how you have to look at him.
Yeah, I know DeMarcano might see some passing network. He had a bad drop in this
Yeah.
game. So, and look, Benson has been productive. They've used him in that passing situation with Connor seeing less. So maybe that role does grow, and this was an in-game thing. It's something to keep an eye on. But either way, Trey Benson is going to be in your starting lineup pretty much every single week. And if he is available, maybe you're in a 10-team league, he's out there. Obviously, you got to go get him. In the deeper
Yeah.
formats, we know even a lot of 12-team leagues with 16 roster spots, he was drafted. There was a
Oh,
lot
for
of
sure.
talk about him in the preseason, and even Connor was saying that, yeah, Benson's going to be more involved, and that was the case the first couple weeks. And now with Connor out, Benson's just going to see a ton of work.
Yeah, so it's unfortunate for those injuries, but you know that you guys have next man up mentality here, so it's going to be that for Omari and Hampton. We're going to talk more a little bit. I want to mention Travion Henderson, Cam Skattebo, but first we get to talk with Jonathan Von Tobel here, going through early lines that we're seeing going into week 4. But that was running back takeovers presented by Xfinity, introducing the new 5-year price guarantee, one consistent internet price for the next 5 years, totally guaranteed. We're going to go talk to Jonathan here coming up next. Oh, it is about that time on a Monday. You already know by now. We're talking with Jonathan Von Tobel here, on-air betting host and analyst at VSiN, and you can check him out at Money Moves, Countdown to Kickoff, Live Bet Sunday. And if you don't know, Jonathan also loves the Indianapolis Colts. And I'm not going to say, Jonathan, that it's, you come on this show and all of a sudden your Indianapolis Colts are 3-0, sitting pretty in the AFC South. But all I'm going to say is that, no one's been talking about it enough. How are you doing? Welcome in.
Very good, very good. I was telling you guys before we came on, the last time they were this good, I was a senior in high school, at least from a record standpoint. We'll see if that actually leads to something here. But all of a sudden, through 3 weeks, and it's not nothing, they look like far and away the best team in the AFC South with a very manageable schedule as you move forward into the season. this might be a pretty highly seeded team by the time we get to the end of the year. Again, I don't know how good they'll be, but the 3 weeks by DVOA standards, they're the best offense in the NFL. And I think that you should be excited. And I think Shane Steichen deserves a ton of credit. Former UNLV quarterback, I always like to shout out. But I always like to point out, I mean, this guy 2 years ago had Gardner Minshew, a drop pass away from the postseason. And then last year in week 15, they went into Denver with a playoff seed on the line. They ended up losing that game. But he's done a lot with a little. And now it looks like he's got a lot. And then this looks like a very, very good offense. So very excited.
Yeah, it's an exciting time. Their next 4, they're on the road against the Rams, they're at home against the Raiders, they're at home against the Cardinals, and then they go on the road against the Chargers. I know we're going to be talking about this Monday Night Football game, but any early thoughts on that Colts-Rams game? I mean, that's going to be interesting because we thought against the Broncos, okay, they might not be able to do it. You go up against the Titans, dominant win, 41-20. They obviously beat the Broncos a couple weeks ago, 29-28. But this Rams team, that might be a test for them.
Yeah, and so full disclosure, it was a good week, but the one of the few blemishes was Titans catching 4 with me. They got smoked. It closed 6, didn't even get it right. I was surprised, and they got away with it. But I think this one is, again, where I might go back and test this Indianapolis Colts team. Before the season began, this number is probably floating closer to a touchdown, like a full 7, as opposed to 3.5. The Colts are deserving of an upgrade. I think at this point there's really no question about it. But this is a very good front 7. This is arguably the best front 7 that they're going to face up to this point of the year. And I'm going to be very curious to see an offensive line, which is tested a lot and tested well, through the early portion of the year. I'm going to be curious to see if Danny Dimes finds himself under a little bit more pressure this week. And you do have to think, I mean, the way the Rams, I say, blew that game against the Philadelphia Eagles, you got to think that there's going to be a little bit more vinegar to the way they're playing, if you will, when they come back out in this game. So strong lean toward the Rams here at home.
Okay.
Let's look ahead to tonight. We hope it's going to be a fun game. Ravens hosting the Lions. Ravens favored by 4.5. Game total 53.5. So looking for some points in this game. What do you like in this game tonight?
I mean, it's hard not to like this game going over the total, and the market's there too. This opened 50.5. It's up to 53.5. Given the volatility of a game like this, you might be able to find a cheaper number in game. If you get a couple of empty drives, maybe it dips to like under 51, you can grab that and bet this game over. And we're also starting to see the hooks disappear potentially, and the number head toward Detroit. And I would lean in that direction as well. Yeah, I like in this too. Whenever we see these really good teams in the NFL, and we see it in college as well, you think that these defenses will win out, but generally it's the offenses. This is really high-level football that we watch these teams play, and I think that Detroit can stay inside of this number. We've got some, conflicting performances from Baltimore for the most part. Now, one was against a really good defense, but the Bills went up and down, obviously came back in that first game. I think this is going to be much closer to that Sunday night game that we watched the Ravens play in week 1, and that would, I think, lend myself to taking 4.5 with the Detroit Lions. So give me Detroit here. I'll have it for a little sweat tonight to watch the game this evening, and I do like the game over.
Talking again with Jonathan Von Tobel here, on-air host and betting analyst over at VSiN. Any props that you like for tonight? I know that we had some people send us a message here on Lamar Jackson, Jared Goff. Any others, though? I think for Lamar Jackson sitting at 231.5 when you're looking at his passing yards, Jared Goff 256.5 over there. But anything you like?
Yeah, so I've got 2. One Lamar Jackson. I'm going to go over 38.5 for his longest completion tonight. I think that this is going to be something where, look, we see Lamar Jackson take shots all the time. Like he's a very aggressive quarterback and throwing it downfield. A-dot this year is 10.5 yards downfield. He's averaging 9 yards per attempt. So we know that he can get aggressive. He'll target his receivers downfield. And very quietly, I know that DJ Reed is questionable, but he and Terry and Arnold through a few weeks have not graded particularly well in the secondary. You look at DJ Reed, a 48.3 PFF coverage grade, 7 receptions on 8 targets, 81 yards, 11.6 per reception allowed. Arnold's been even worse, 10 receptions on 15 targets, 175, 17.5 per reception. Detroit overall 26th EPA per pass allowed. I think you're going to give up some explosives here. And if you look at the first 2 weeks for Detroit, they've allowed long receptions of 48, 37, 26, 22. I could go on, but they've given up quite a few explosive plays. So I think Jackson's going to be able to go over this. Again, longest completion 38.5, and shop around. I think there's about a 37.5, maybe 36.5 are still out there. And the other, this one's a little hardcore. So this is kind of an experiment I've been doing this year. I've been trying to play a few more individual defensive player props, some tackles and assists. So going back to Arnold, over 4.5 tackles and assists. He's actually second on the team so far in tackles and assists for the Detroit Lions, mostly due to those high-rated targets I think that we talked about, right? 15 targets in 2 games, probably going to be in a position to make quite a few of those tackles. So I think he's going to be targeted again at a high volume tonight. And this might be a little too in the weeds. Maybe I'm thinking too much. But the Ravens love to run outside. If you look at their 2 games so far, 27 of their rushing attempts have come off of either tackle and or in the form of a jet sweep. So I think that these corners are going to be working quite a bit, Arnold among them. And again, it's 4.5 tackles and assists. That's not a lot that you have to do. I know it's a corner. So I think with a high-scoring game, a lot of possessions, a lot of outside runs, and a high volume of targets, Arnold could go over that number. So over 4.5 tackles and assists.
Nice.
Looking ahead to week 4, any early bets stand out to you as you look across the board?
Yes. So I'm going to I think I'm going to bet this now. There is some questions at quarterback, whether or not JJ McCarthy is going to play. I think Schefter's report was 2 to 4 weeks. So I'm pretty sure he's not going to play in this game, right? Okay. So with that, give me Minnesota. We have a listener who likes to tweet into me on Sundays and tell me I have a disdain for Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers. I'm sorry, but this team stinks. Again, yesterday, they're getting almost tripled up in yardage. They can't do anything on offense, and yet you have the Patriots losing 4 fumbles, throwing an interception, and still in position to potentially win that game in the fourth quarter. I think the Steelers are fugazi to the most extreme. And you look at Minnesota's defense. I had them yesterday against Cincinnati. I didn't expect that, but I do know how good this defense is. I know it's a neutral. I know they got to travel, but I think Minnesota's defense is going to finally expose what Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers' offense has been, which has been inefficient, lacking explosivity. And I think that they're bad enough on defense that Carson Wentz is again going to be able to come in. Did a pretty good job in a game that didn't have to do too much. And under a field goal, because I think we're going to get to that 3 pretty quickly, I'd snap it up now. So -2.5 for the Minnesota Vikings for sure.
You say something before we let you go. The Seahawks taking on the Cardinals. You got anything on? I just want someone to say something nice about the Seahawks. That's my team, and so I'm looking at this game and I'm thinking, okay, this is kind of interesting. But that's going to be the Thursday night game this week. But I'm kind of interested in that one.
I mean, I'm not to curry favor. I think the Seahawks go off as a small favorite here by the time we get to Thursday. So right now, for me, 1.5 is home field. So we're sitting at 1 right now for Arizona. I don't think these two teams are equals. I think Arizona rates as the worse team than Seattle. I think that Seattle has been really good, obviously, these last 2 weeks. I mentioned the Steelers. They played the Steelers, and that was another one of those performances where Seattle was completely outperforming them. Just some weird stuff where they were ultimately in a tight game. I think that the Seahawks are going to be pretty live here on a short week. I know they have to go on the road, but it's not that much travel coming from Seattle. And I think Arizona, through these first few weeks against some lesser competition for the most part outside of San Francisco, has not looked great. Is Marvin Harrison Jr. even going to play? So I'm just kidding, of course. But give me Seattle. I think they go off as a short favorite.
All right, I like it. What? No MVP for your Colts? No Daniel Jones MVP. What are we doing? Can he be comeback player of the year? I don't know. What are you thinking?
That to me, that comeback player of the year is something. That's a whole can of worms because I strictly believe if Darnold could have won it last year, then nobody like that is going to win it. But I will say this. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. They're 25-1 to have the most wins in the NFL. Again, I don't think they're good, but they have an easy enough schedule that if this offense is for real, you could see a scenario like those old Titans teams. Remember, they would win 13 games, but from a rating standpoint, they actually weren't that good. I think that might be the case potentially for Indianapolis. They might be able to pile up some wins, especially if the AFC South is as bad as it looks right now.
Oh, I love it. I love to hear that. Those are some of those bets that you just say, yeah, this is just fun now. But Jonathan, we appreciate you hanging out with us here, and we get to talk to you again next week. But have a great one.
Yep. Thanks a lot as always, guys.
Awesome. There he goes again. Jonathan Von Tobel there, on-air host and betting analyst over at VSiN. You can find him on Money Moves, Countdown to Kickoff, and then Live Bet Sunday. Some good insight there going into week 4. But before we get into week 4, Adam, we gotta finish up week 3 here. We've got a Monday night football game tonight. Should be a really, really good matchup, or at least we're hoping so. So let's start breaking that one down here. Taking some more phone calls, especially if you have questions on tonight. We're gonna do that here coming up next. Oh, you are listening to us on this Overreaction Monday, getting you ready for all things Monday Night Football. Detroit Lions taking on the Baltimore Ravens here. Baltimore Ravens favored at home. The total sitting at 53.5 here, Adam. And all we really want is just some fantasy points. I see a message here from Kyle sent in just a minute ago. I need Amon-Ra to get 23 to win and avoid going 0-3. Should I be worried? Need some positive vibes. Key here, Adam, is positive vibes.
Okay, yeah, don't worry. Everything's going to be fine. Yeah, he's going to score 40, just like Trey Tucker. Yeah, he's fine.
You're so annoying. I believe Kyle. Well, actually, you should probably worry, but don't worry about the positivity because one of us will bring that for you here. I'm curious what your expectations are in this game for the Lions and Ravens. And I think actually one of my biggest questions, because if you already waited this long, it's Monday Night Football. So if you started or didn't start someone in place of Mark Andrews, you're putting him out there, obviously. But more expectations on Andrews, and if you think this is a game where he can get right, or what you're thinking in this one.
Yeah, I think there is a chance. It's been brutal the first 2 weeks, but if the game can be back and forth and the total is 53.5, if we see points that could help. Lamar Jackson has been unbelievable on Monday Night Football. 22 touchdowns in 9 games with no interceptions. And do you know what you have in common with Lamar Jackson?
We're both fast.
No, you guys both sleep early because Lamar Jackson said he didn't watch too many Monday Night Football games growing up because his mom used to make him go to sleep because he had school. So
understandable.
Just like you, he did not stay up late when he was younger.
You see, we are both fast though.
Not fast. No? Well, Lamar's faster than me. I will say that. You aren't.
Lamar's faster than me. Please,
you are not.
Please, we're gonna put it to the test. But I know it should. Here's the thing: it should be a good one. And look, he prioritizes sleep. Look at that, folks. It's something.
Well, no, his mom made him sleep. I don't know if he does now. When we interview him, we can ask him.
Oh, okay, yeah, we'll make sure to talk about that. I'm definitely excited for this game. I'm excited to see what the tone looks like and everything else. I know a lot of people. There's a lot of fantasy points to be scored yet too, Adam. You might be down right now and you're looking at your team and you're saying, okay, who do I have? There's so many fantasy assets. You've got David Montgomery, ARSB. You can just go down the list. So a lot of people here are maybe down going into this game tonight, but there could be some really big turns for a Monday Night Miracle. That's the fun part.
Yeah, on paper, again, Lamar Jackson looked like he has a really good matchup. The Lions have really struggled to put pressure on quarterbacks, and which means they're probably going to blitz a little bit, and we know Lamar can handle that. You got Derrick Henry who can go off, Zay Flowers, who's been unbelievable the first 2 weeks. And then on the Lions side, Jahmyr Gibbs, you got Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams can break a big play at any time. We know he only had 2 receptions last week, but they went for 108 yards. So the volume has not been there yet. We have heard, John Morton say he was going to get Williams more involved in the game plan. We'll see if he does it here against Baltimore. So, yeah, it should be a very interesting game, and expect a lot of points.
That's all we want. Please.
Entertaining, man. Give us like a night.
No, I want
if
points.
that Bills, like the Bills-Ravens game, give us that.
Yeah, I think on Derrick Henry, he was one of the more disappointing week 2 fantasy finishers, right? To 23 yards on 11 carries, 2.3 fantasy points. I'll give you this stat. He's never posted single-digit fantasy games back-to-back as a Raven. And then when you go back even to Tennessee, he did it twice in his last 2 years in Tennessee. And obviously that offense was much less consistent than what we see for the Ravens. So I'm expecting, I hope, for a good Derrick Henry game in this one. And I know his fantasy managers are feeling the same way. Sorry if you got cut in chopped and guillotine leagues last week because of him, but I really like him. And then I'm curious on Zay Flowers too. I know those are 2 Ravens, but I'm curious what he's going to look like because so far this season, Adam, he's just looked really good. And fantasy managers, he's averaging 21.5 points per game, fantasy points per game. He's got a great utilization score. He's got an 86 through 2 games. So if he can keep this up and keep that, 42% target share, which is second going into this game was second behind JSN. He's that low end wide receiver too, that could definitely get you and continue getting you those fantasy points and be someone at the end of the year that we look around and say, yeah, that was a bargain as well.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I didn't think he would get a target share that high. And, you always worry about the game script with Baltimore too. A lot of games that they dominate, play from ahead, and just run the football. That doesn't look to be the case tonight. So you could see another big game from Zay Flowers. He has been the go-to guy for Lamar Jackson so far and has looked real good.
Mark Andrews? Big game incoming or no?
I don't think you could say big game, but you need to see something tonight for
10 fantasy
Andrews.
Points?
I think
8?
I think people, I think anyone who started Mark Andrews will take 8 right now.
Look,
Hawkinson did it yesterday, so now it's Mark Andrews' turn.
If not, we're going to have those conversations this week, though. If you just cover up the name and you see the stats from Mark Andrews, you wouldn't be starting him. That's the thing.
For sure.
So
Detroit has held tight ends to 2 main tight ends to 45 yards the first 2 weeks. It was Tucker Kraft, Cole Kmet. So
go get maybe Isaiah Likely in the next couple of weeks. But make sure you guys stick around. Appreciate everyone hanging out with us here today. You got RotoWire with Jeff Erickson and Jim Coventry today. We're going to be back same time tomorrow. Go check out everything at fantasylife.com, and we'll see you then.